Dear students, this is the third lecture of supply chain management. To recall what we have discussed in the last lecture, let us go back to the questions. The first question is, what do you mean by cross-function approach? As we have discussed, cross-function approach means various teams of people or various units of an organization working together to achieve a common goal of the business. Second question is, name the four major decision areas in SCM. As you are aware, location, production, inventory, and transportation. Third one, mention one prime advantage of e-commerce portal. Which one comes to your mind? What comes to my mind is the shop is not attached to the particular physical place. That means the e-commerce portal you can access anywhere, anytime. Many students have given their answers very good. We'll go to the today's topic. We already started with role and importance of logistics and supply chain management. We continue that. So the first point is recognition of role of logistics in creating competitive advantage in the marketplace, particularly in the face of domestic and foreign competition. Today, every industry or every manufacturer has the competition from not only from domestic and also from international companies. That happens to the even for a very small product, for example toys, to the very big products like boilers or TVs or any other large equipments also. In all these products, every manufacturer he has to compete with the domestic companies and also foreign companies. So the company aims to have a better supply chain system so that he can have an advantage or the company can have an advantage than the other one. The second point is service activities continuing to be centralized and consolidated. Due to the computers and software technologies, the companies are centralizing their activities so that it is very easier to have better control and also to take proactive steps for the improvement of the organization. If we take, for example, Reliance stores, suppose it is there in Trichy. If one product is sold here, it is immediately updated in the computer available in this place, and that information also updated in the central server, so that the central place they will come to know what is the stock of the product in a particular shop or particular place, and how the product is selling and what is the rate of selling. All these things can be easily available both in the local and also in the centralized server or centralized place. Next one is development of the systems approach and total cost analysis concept. So you apply the system concept. That means you don't see the any part of the process as isolated one. You think in terms of total system approach. Then only you can optimize, or you can think of where you can optimize, where you can maximize your profit, where you can minimize the cost, where you can minimize the time. So that's what we apply it in the case of systems approach and also total cost analysis concept. The next point is the development and expansion of global competition and the increasingly international growth of companies with increasing foreign sourcing of raw materials components, and labor further impacts on the recognition of the importance of logistics. In case of raw material also, the manufacturer or companies may import from foreign countries. For example, Coimbatore, it was famous for manufacturing thread or yarn, which is used in textile cloth factories. But of late, what has happened? The textile companies started importing yarn or threads from foreign countries due to the reason that they are able to get at lower cost than the cost at the Coimbatore textile mill. So due to the reason, the textile mills in Coimbatore, they lost their business. And also components and labor. For example, China is meant for components at lower cost and also labor at lower cost. So that many hardware and electronic companies, they have their factories in China. So all these things happens in any business or any manufacturing industry, which causes the movement of goods from one country to another country. That's where the logistics plays a greater role. Next, we are going to discuss very important point. What is the difference between logistics and the supply chain management? Many a times people use this word interchangeably, but there is a difference between logistics and the supply chain management. What is the difference? Supply chain management encompasses the planning and management of all activities involved in sourcing and procurement, conversion, and all logistics management activities. So supply chain management means it is a holistic approach which includes all the uh, jobs related to the production of particular goods or products. It starts from sourcing the raw materials and converting into product and then moving the product to the market. So importantly, it also includes coordination and collaboration with channel partners, which can be suppliers, intermediaries, third-party service providers, and customers. So in essence, supply chain management integrates supply and demand management within and across companies. So as it involves all activities, supply chain management, it needs coordination of all these stakeholders involved in the production and also distribution. But in case of logistics, it is a part of the supply chain management which mainly focus on the movement of goods or movement of products or services. So the logistics management is a part of supply chain management that plans, implements, and controls the efficient, effective forward and reverse flow and storage of goods, services, and related information between the point of origin and the point of consumption in order to meet customers' requirements. So logistics talks about movement of goods, movement of services from the point of origin, where it is manufactured, and to the point of consumption. So this is a difference between logistics and supply chain management. Next we see the objective of a supply chain. The objective of every supply chain should be to maximize the overall value generated. What is actually overall value? Of course, in terms of money. The value, also known as supply chain surplus, a supply chain generates is the difference between what the value of the final product is to the customer and the cost the supply chain incurs in fulfilling the customer request. Supply chain surplus is equal to customer value minus supply chain cost. What is the customer value here? It is the actual price the customer is paying for the particular product. And what is the supply chain cost? It is a total cost including the production and distribution until it reaches the particular shop. For example, the cost of a pen, that is total supply chain cost of a pen is 70 rupees and the price of the pen is 90 rupees, that is customer value. So what is the supply chain surplus? That is 90 minus 70, 20 rupees. That is what the supply chain surplus for a particular product. So then we see what is consumer surplus. The value of the final product may vary from each customer and can be estimated by the maximum amount the customer is willing to pay for it. The difference between the value of the product and its price remains with the customer as consumer surplus. Let us take the same example of that particular product pen. The customer is looking for a particular brand of pen and he is ready to pay the amount of, for example, even 100 rupees if he gets the pen. But he is able to get the same pen at the cost of something like 80 rupees. Then customer feels happy and actually he thought that it would be 100 rupees but he got it at lower cost, that is 80 rupees. Then that is called consumer surplus. That means he feels happy that he saved 20 rupees. That is what consumer surplus. Then what is supply chain profitability? The rest of supply chain surplus becomes the supply chain profitability, the difference between the revenue generated from the customer and the overall cost across the supply chain. So the total revenue generated from the customer and minus the supply chain cost. For example, we have seen that 20 rupees as the supply chain profitability because the pen cost was 70 rupees. It was sold at price of 90 rupees. So 20 rupees is the supply chain profitability. The supply chain profitability is the total profit. It is to be shared across all supply chain stages and intermediate. The higher the supply chain profitability, the more successful is the supply chain. So the total supply chain profitability is to be shared by all the stages from the production till the distribution and to the particular shop also. So next we see the importance of supply chain decisions. There is a close connection between the design, management of supply chain flows, that is product, information and funds, and the success of a supply chain. See, we see some examples of supply chain systems. Walmart, Amazon, and 7-Eleven Japan are examples of companies that have built their success on superior design, planning, and operation of their supply chain. In contrast, the failure of many online businesses such as Webvan can be attributed to weaknesses in their supply chain design and planning. If you see the case of Webvan, it is a company which started in 1996. Their objective was to deliver groceries for individual homes within 30 minutes after they place the order from the particular home. That was their objective. So with that objective, they started their business. They aimed to increase the business in various cities and they started to have their own warehouses and they expanded it in a very big way. But they were able to get some profit and survive for 3 to 4 years. But in 2001, the company was not able to continue their business, and they closed it, the online businesses web and system, due to the wrong planning in supply chain and demand management and the operations. All these things are attributed to the loss of that particular company. So when you see the practices in supply chain, Walmart designed its supply chain with clusters of stores around distribution centers to facilitate frequent replenishment at its retail stores in a cost-effective manner. So frequent replenishment allows stores to match supply and demand more effectively than the competition. That means the Walmart designed its supply chain in such a way that the company distributes the products to different stores frequently, so that no customer will go out of the shop because the product is not available. That means product will be available at all shops at any point of time, so that due to the availability, the success of the Walmart is very clear. If we take Dell, the Dell experienced unprecedented growth of both revenue and profits by structuring a supply chain that provided customers with customized pieces quickly at reasonable costs. So the success was based on two key supply chain features that supported rapid and low cost of customization. One is the Dell decision to sell directly to the end consumer or customer, bypassing the distributors and the retailers. That is, Dell started to selling the products to the customers directly. That is one practice. The another practice is Dell's supply chain was a centralization of manufacturing and inventories in a few locations, where final assembly was postponed until the customer order arrived. So they'll start the uh, assembling the systems only after getting the order from the consumers. So as a result, Dell was able to provide large variety of PC configurations while keeping the component inventories at a very low level. So these two practices helped Dell company to succeed in supply chain management system. So the key point is supply chain design, planning and operation decisions play a significant role in the success or failure of a firm. So any company, if they want to succeed in the business, they should have a better supply chain design, planning and operation. To stay competitive, supply chains must adapt to changing technology and customer expectations. So the company should be able to accommodate the different changes taking place in technologies and also the expectation of the consumer, particularly the computer and software, where the changes taking place in a very faster manner. So the company should be able to exploit the improvements taking place in computer field and also in the hardware and also in software. So we have yet to see one more example. The 7-Eleven Japan is another example of a company that has used excellent supply chain design, planning and operation to derive growth and profitability. It has used a very responsive replenishment system along with an outstanding information system to ensure that products are available at each of its convenience stores to match customer needs. So what is the key point here? The 7-Eleven Japan, it uses the information system. That's what using computer hardware and software to understand the requirements in different stores. So they followed a style of responsive replenishment system. What do you mean by replenishment? Sometimes in department stores, you might see that the salesman comes and he fills the rack with his product. For example, if you take Horlicks, so the salesman used to come to the store and fills the rack with some 10 packets or 20 packets of Horlicks or whatever it is, 50 packets like that. That is called replenishment. So the 7-Eleven Japan used the information system very effectively so that it can ensure that at every store the products are available based on the demand. So that is the success of this 7-Eleven Japan supply chain management system.